at the mouth of the Ambrian Sea. Antony had established his base near a small town called Actium. Octavian's spies told him of this, so he landed his troops further up the coast and achieved his first objective. He had trapped Antony. Like two wary gladiators, the armies of Antony and Octavian looked for a weakness in the other. The tension was broken when Antony's fleet was ambushed while bringing desperately needed supplies to Actium. Many of his ships were sunk. After this disaster, Antony was plagued with desertion by his troops. And as dusk fell on the night of the 1st of September 31 BC, he watched the glow of his own ships that he had been forced to burn because he lacked the men to sail them. In their camp, Antony and Cleopatra had a hard decision to make. With both their fleet and army trapped by Octavian, they only had two options. Either they attack Octavian by land and gamble on Antony's greater military experience, or try to break through the naval blockade and save as many men and supplies as possible. Antony's soldiers argued that they should fight on land, where their proven strength should win the day. But Cleopatra believed that their only hope lay at sea, and it was in her tent that the final decision was made.
In tente!
Next morning, Antony ordered his remaining 230 ships to prepare for battle. Though outnumbered by almost 2 to 1, Antony's ships were much larger, and he hoped to ram his way out of Octavian's encircling fleet. But Octavian and his admiral, Agrippa, proved to be brilliant tacticians, and before long they had surrounded Antony's ships. In this last major naval battle of the Roman era, over 700 ships fought individual and multiple battles over an area of several square miles. Soon, Octavian's smaller and faster ships were inflicting heavy casualties on Antony's larger vessels. When the wind suddenly changed, Cleopatra saw an opportunity to save herself and escaped with her fleet. Antony fled north and joined her, leaving his men to fight alone. Without their experienced leader, Antony's fleet was easy prey for Octavian's ships. As the day wore on, the casualties grew, and by dusk, the sea was littered with corpses and sinking ships. From the shore, Antony's massive land army could only watch in disbelief. Within a week, all had surrendered. The image of a Roman general fleeing battle with his lover was to give Octavian the decisive psychological advantage. For Antony and Cleopatra, it was a devastating defeat. Their dream was shattered. Within a year, Octavian arrived victorious in Alexandria, Cleopatra's capital. Mark Antony, rather than face his old adversary, committed suicide. Cleopatra, a prisoner in her own palace, came before Octavian and offered an alliance. When he said no, she begged that her son by Julius Caesar be spared. But the plea was too late. Caesarion had already been put to death. Knowing that Octavian would parade her through Rome as a spoil of war, Cleopatra also committed suicide. Soon afterwards, Octavian formally declared that Egypt, the Crocodile Kingdom, was part of the new Roman Empire. Victory left Octavian in undisputed control of Rome. Again, he showed his political awareness. He knew that his predecessor, Julius Caesar, had been murdered because he flaunted his power. And so he kept the trappings of Republican Rome in place. The Senate and its annual consuls were seen to rule the empire. He simply called himself Princeps, the first citizen. Yet in reality, it was Octavian who held absolute power. The Battle of Actium was one of history's great turning points, and there followed a golden age for Rome's fortunes. Octavian's authority proved to be the bedrock upon which an empire would grow, an empire that would unite Europe for the next 400 years. Rome's new power was characterized by great architecture and by the Pax Romana, peace under Roman rule. Just 4 years after the Battle of Actium, the Senate voted Octavian a new name, Augustus Caesar, the final stage of the metamorphosis from a boy to a god. He was to live for another 40 years, during which time he turned Rome into the greatest city in the world. A Rome and a world that after 2,000 years still bears testimony to his extraordinary achievements.